Have you ever just stopped and wondered if there's, a deeper pattern to your life? If all the ups and downs, the big wins, and the really tough challenges aren't just a series of random events, but maybe, just maybe, they're part of a much bigger, more purposeful story? Well, let's dive into a framework that explores that exact idea, a life that was actually designed by the soul, for the soul.
Okay, this one idea right here, it's pretty much the foundation for everything we're about to unpack. What it's really saying is that every single human experience is intentional. From this point of view, we aren't here by some cosmic accident. No, we're here to learn, to grow, and to express something totally unique. So the big question then becomes, how on earth does that purpose actually take shape?
Well, it all starts way before we even arrive here. The idea is that there's this really meticulous planning phase where a kind of blueprint for our life gets created. And you should think of it less like a rigid, unchangeable script and more like a university curriculum that's been perfectly designed for our own personal growth. And that brings us to this key term, the soul curriculum. Now, the emphasis here is all about free will. This framework suggests that our most significant challenges, the ones that truly shape who we become, there aren't punishments at all. They're actually the lessons we chose for ourselves, the ones we wanted to master. So, how does this actually work? Well, it's kind of broken down into three stages. First, the soul picks its core lessons. Second, these instructions get encoded right into our very being. We're talking DNA, our energetic blueprint, which shapes all our tendencies and patterns. And third, the ego agrees to be the vehicle for the whole journey, basically the character on the ground that's going to experience it all firsthand. And this points to a really core rule of this whole framework. The curriculum itself doesn't change. Now, our choices and how we respond to things can absolutely vary, but those fundamental themes we signed up for, they're going to keep showing up one way or another all throughout our lives. Okay, so the curriculum is set and the journey has begun. Who's in the driver's seat? Well, for the first part of life, it's the ego. This draws such a fantastic contrast, doesn't it? The ego, it operates from a place of striving and desire and a whole lot of fear. It's all about accumulating things, achieving goals, and protecting itself out there in the physical world. And look, that's totally normal. It's actually necessary for our early development. But it's a world away from the soul's approach, which is guided more by intuition, flow, and this deep sense of alignment. And here comes the inevitable plot twist. A life that's driven only by the ego's attachments and fears, well, it eventually hits a wall. The constant striving just becomes exhausting. The achievements start to feel empty, or that whole world you've so carefully built just starts to crumble. Now, this isn't a failure, not at all. It's actually a feature of the design. And this collapse, this hitting a wall, leads us to the most dramatic part of the entire journey, the Great Awakening. It is the absolute pivotal turning point where the whole orientation of a person's life can just fundamentally shift. It's the natural question to ask, right? I mean, when the ego's strategies for finding happiness and security just stop working, what comes next? What happens when the road you've been on your whole life just leads to a dead end? This. This is what happens. The catalyst for real change is often the very thing we fear the most. A crisis, a major loss, a moment of just complete and utter surrender. This is the point where the ego's tight grip is finally loosened. Not because it was forced, but because it's just plain exhausted. And this defines that moment perfectly. A spiritual awakening isn't about, floating on a cloud or seeing angels. It's a profound internal shift in who's in charge. It's the moment the ego finally steps aside and the soul, which, by the way, has been there the whole time, is finally invited back into the driver's seat. So, what does life even look like after this big handover? This is the final and honestly the most transformative part of the whole journey, learning how to actually live from the soul. For starters, life just begins to feel different. Instead of all that striving, there's a sense of flow. Instead of making decisions based on fear, you start getting guidance from your intuition. You begin to notice synchronicities, those meaningful coincidences that just confirm you're on the right path. And challenges? Oh, they don't disappear, but your relationship to them completely changes. They become the opportunities for mastery that they were always meant to be. So, what's the ultimate point of all of this? This quote just captures it beautifully. Source consciousness is just another way of saying that state of interconnectedness, of oneness, that this entire journey is leading us back to. Every single soul-led choice dissolves that feeling of being separate and accelerates the journey home, right back to where we started,
but with all the incredible wisdom we've picked up along the way. And so we end right here by turning this entire framework back to you. If you just entertain this idea for a moment, that your life, with all its unique twists and turns, is a curriculum you personally designed for your own growth, what are the recurring themes? What lessons just keep showing up for you? And maybe the most important question of all, what might your soul be trying to teach you right now?